Tim didn't have any sacks on the stat sheet. I know the stats don't completely tell the story. When you went back and watched the game, did you feel better about what you all were able to do on the defensive line and generating some pressure?
Yeah, I thought for the most part, we showed some flashes, in terms of what we want to be and what we're capable of being. I thought those guys did a good job, obviously, getting rid of the ball quickly. But when he held it, I thought we applied some pressure. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But I thought for the most part, those guys did a good job, of executing what we asked them to execute. So to answer your question, yeah, I felt fine, coming out of the game in terms of what was out there and the opportunities we had.
We'll go to Adam.
Considering they did have a counter to keep you guys from not getting a sack, did you feel like there were some tweaks in terms of the scheme that can be adjusted this week?
I mean, the reality, we obviously want to sack them. We want to get as many takeaways as we can, but I think the most important thing is to win. So at the end of the day, we felt like, we had enough mechanisms in our toolbox to be able to get the win, and obviously that's what we did.
Jimmy and then Patrick.
Coach, a couple things. One, what do you see out of Pitt's offense? I know they got a lot of offensive linemen returning, like running football. But what have you seen out of them so far?
Yeah, I think what you just described. They're experienced group up front. They're big. A lot of guys played a lot of football. They do a good job of putting forehands on guys and moving guys off the spot. 77. The left tackle is extremely athletic. Has done a really good job in the past of protecting the quarterback. So we have a lot of respect for those guys up front and their program as a whole. So we know we'll have our hands full.
And what were your thoughts of Terry McDonald's performance?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I thought for the most part he was very consistent. In what we asked him to do. For man coverage, I think he graded out somewhere like 80%. I thought, in zone principles, his eyes were in the right places. Obviously getting an interception early. I thought he did a really good job considering that was his only second start of his whole career. So we were pleased so far with, what he's brought to the table.
Austin and Vince.
Coach, we had a chance to listen to Coach Heupel yesterday about Kamal Hadden and just the work that he put in when he was not able to go during fall camp. How do you assess kind of how much he's grown maybe just over the last couple of months? And then what were your interpretations of how he played in limited role Saturday?
Yeah, I think Kamal is really coming along. He's a kid that, hadn't played a ton of football, obviously at the junior college. He was banged up a little bit last year. But, we like the direction that he's headed. I think he's maturing. I think, again, understanding, the whole complexity of our defense and, where he needs to be. He's always been a tremendous athlete. Now it's just, understanding the finer details. And he's worked really, really hard for that during the off season. And you guys started to see a little bit of a glimpse of that, obviously, Thursday night.
Vince.
Couple of things. You guys have talked about depth and feeling like you're in a better position there. Until the score got out of hand and you really started going to the bench, did you feel like you were able to play more bodies and get them into that regular rotation for you?
Yeah, I think so. We tried to rotate guys early, not just at the end of the game, as you mentioned. And I know particularly on the back end where that has not necessarily been a thing that we did in the past. But, you saw Wesley Walker out there a ton. And, we obviously played a ton of corners. And, we tried to get guys up front, in terms of the rotation as well early, even a linebacker position where we're a little bit limited, obviously going into the game. But, we felt good. We felt like we got the guys in the game early enough that, they felt like there were some real meaningful minutes that they were contributing to.
And what about specifically Burrell and Charles? What did you see from those guys?
Yeah, I think Charles, you can see that was, really his first time out on an island. I think it was, once the game started to settle down or he started to settle down within the game, I thought he started to play better. He's a tremendous athlete, as we've already, documented. But obviously playing corners, new for him. He's getting better. I thought by the end of the game, I thought he was really comfortable in what we were asking him to do. It was a little bit uneventful, for Burrell. He did exactly what he needed to do. I think they only challenged him a few times, and he was up for the challenge most of those reps. So, We feel like Burrell obviously had a really good camp. You know, we thought he did his job Thursday night, and he'll obviously have, you know, even bigger shoes to fill, you know, or to play at, you know, obviously going into this next venue. So I know he's excited about the challenge, and so are we.
Rob, then Eric.
Coach, you got a couple of young guys in the game really early, Elijah and Joshua Joseph. What'd you see on tape from those guys?
Yeah, freshmen. You know, they look like freshmen, you know, but they're uber talented, you know, very athletic. You know, Josh Joseph, you know, is, you know, a kid that's long, athletic, you know, probably plays a little bit bigger than what his actual size is. I thought he did some good things, you know, but again, you know, when they're freshmen, you know, there are going to be some things that, you know, we obviously have to correct, and only experience can, you know, teach them, so to speak. And I thought being able to get those guys some first game reps, you know, only bode well for us moving forward.
Eric.
Tim, you look at the linebackers. Aaron Beasley looked like he was flying all over the place, especially in the first half. How has he grown as a player from last year to now?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously we didn't know a lot about Beasley last year, and, you know, ended up starting a bunch of games for us, and, you know, had a tremendous spring. He was good. You know, he's always very consistent. You know, we know exactly what we're going to get out of him. He doesn't say a whole bunch, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I know guys on our defense really respect him. They respect his work ethic and how consistent he is day in and day out. So I thought he did a good job of flying around, hitting the ball, you know, being active in coverage. Obviously, he affected the quarterback on the very first play that led to an interception. So, you know, he's a guy that we know we can count on, and, you know, we're obviously happy we got him.
Ryan and Brent.
Sticking with Joseph and Herring, just what did those two guys do in fall camp to give you guys the confidence to play them as early as you did?
Yeah, I think with Herring, you know, he made tremendous strides, you know, coming out of spring. You know, he's a big kid, you know, he's strong, you know, he's physical. You know, he's still, you know, learning the nuances of playing inside linebacker, but he worked hard enough and showed enough consistency in practice where, you know, we felt like we needed to carve out a niche for him or a role for him. And, you know, we don't see that changing as we continue to move forward. You know, and Joseph, you know, again, you know, he's a kid who plays a little bit bigger than what his actual size is. He's uber long. He has some explosive qualities. You know, again, the consistency, you know, the stage hadn't seemed too big for those guys during practice. And, you know, obviously as we continue to go out throughout the season, you know, we think being able to play those guys early and getting them more reps will only help us, you know, coming down the stretch of the season.
Coach, you said that you tackled more in the preseason than you normally do. When you went back and watched the tape, did you get the benefit you wanted? How did you like your units tackling in game one, and how were you how was your physicality at all three levels?
Yeah, I think the physicality was good. You know, I don't have a problem with how physical we tried to play. You know, we're never as happy as we want to be after a game. You know, did we tackle, you know, at 100%? No. So we're disappointed that way. Did we tackle well enough to win? You know, I think so. We didn't look out there and say, God, we're a bad tackling team coming out of the first game, you know, but to think that we've arrived, I wouldn't say that either. You know, I think it's obviously the more you play, the more you tackle, the better we'll get, and I don't think we're any different. You know, we'll continue to get better tackling, but I was not disappointed coming out of the game in terms of our tackling.
We'll finish with Patrick.
Coach, a couple questions. First of all, third down defense, I know that was a big emphasis all offseason. How did you kind of evaluate how that went in the first game? Secondly, looking into Pitt, played this team last year, but they have a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. How does that challenge, or what challenges does that bring in terms of preparing for them?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers said, you know, we graded out on third down. I mean, again, there's some things we want to do better, obviously, you know, in terms of how we affect the quarterback, you know, whether it's pressure or whether it's rotation in the coverage packages. But I thought overall, you know, I thought we did well enough to win. As far as Pitt, you know, yeah, they do have a new offensive coordinator, and that's always a little bit tricky because, you know, you're studying another opponent to get ready for them. You obviously watch the one-game sample. But, you know, at the end of the day, as we talk about all the time, you always expect the unexpected, and, you know, we have to lean on our training. I think, you know, Coach Narduzzi has been there long enough where those guys have a culture. You know, I think they have some core values that they believe in, and I don't think this offensive coordinator will deviate away from that. You know, these guys want to be able to run the football, you know, protect the quarterback and throw the ball down the field. So, you know, we're excited about the opportunity. You know, again, we have a tremendous amount of respect for their program, and, you know, we're excited to get down there and get to it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.